This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Welcome on to the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Meteorologist Evan Thomason coming at you here in just a second, but we always want to keep you first alert. First and foremost on a First Alert Weather Day on your Doppler radar, which certainly is looking a little more messy than it did early this morning. Thankfully, most of you going into school and into work for the final day of the work week was fine. We started to develop these showers earliest around 9 a.m., and now we're starting to pick up on a good amount of rain coverage across Texarkana and the I-30 corridor at this rate. Some of these showers also formed around Marshall. If you can kind of see that crossing over I-49 in between Texarkana and Shreveport now as well. We'll get into all of that, and trust me, I'm going to zoom into this First Alert Doppler radar here in just a little bit. But this just gives you a tip of the iceberg here for what we're expecting here for the day today. And overall, conditions are expected to deteriorate until peaking this afternoon. This afternoon and this evening, it's going to look to be widespread around the Arklatex. I'd say mainly, most of the timing is pinpointing towards the afternoon more than the evening. I'm going to look at the future track in its entirety, hour by hour, specific towns, all that jazz here on your First Alert Weather Day. Coming on up here shortly. But hello, welcome. Let me introduce myself again. My name is meteorologist Evan Thomason here. I am always, well, I won't say always, but I do the First Alert Weather Breakdown here at KSLA News 12, do the morning shows, do whatever you need me to do during the morning shift here. KSLA News 12, essentially get your weather info for you in the AM hours of the day. So, again, today is the First Alert Weather Day that was declared early this morning for today. Overall, the conditions have just rapidly deteriorated for today compared to what the forecast was originally expected for Friday. Just to give you kind of a background of what today's forecast was looking like, if you were on our Weather Breakdown podcast yesterday, it was only a marginal risk of severe weather for the storms today. Now, we have an enhanced risk, which is essentially level 3 out of 5 of severe weather, as we're expecting the severe storms to rapidly increase, the threat to rapidly increase here for this afternoon later on today. And again, we're finding that already with a number of showers out in the northern half of the Arklatex this morning. Around lunchtime, it's going to slowly meander into the I-20 corridor, and it's going to be mainly for the areas along and south of I-24 this afternoon. So that's what we're watching out for. Thank you. I'm going to give you time. Thank you very much for those of you joining from our Facebook stream, also from our YouTube stream as well. Again, I really want to especially thank those of you on Facebook as well, because we don't stream on Facebook often. Pretty much we only stream on Facebook only when necessary, pretty much, here for the day today. Feel free to leave your comments, your questions, those kind of things, all in the chat. I'm going to go over the kind of how we go over this, how we do this First Alert Weather Breakdown on a day like today right now. So obviously we are pretty much exclusively talking about that here for the day today on the First Alert Weather Breakdown, just going into all the nitty-gritty details about First Alert Weather Breakdown. We're answering viewer questions. We're doing all of that here, obviously, on this weather podcast. So thanks for joining in. Essentially, I'm going to go over a full forecast, which has all of the graphics needed, necessary, getting all into the nitty-gritty detail of what we're expecting out of severe storms. When are the storms expected to happen? How much rain am I expecting from the day today? All those questions will be answered in the forecast. And if you have any further questions after the forecast, feel free, again, to leave those on our Facebook and YouTube streams. And I promise I will be looking at them, first and foremost, and then I will be answering all questions at the end of the forecast. It's like being put right in class, you know. The teacher doesn't usually answer questions during the lesson. You learn the lesson first, and because I might answer your question during the forecast. I think that's, simply stated, essentially, here for the day today. I do want to give a quick shout out to those of you who are already starting to put in some comments on Facebook. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for always watching every time. Claudia says, thanks, be careful. Lewis says you're watching from Texarkana. Chelsea asked a question about Houghton. I will answer that in just a little bit. It is raining at Rocky Mountain right now. Thanks for the report, Susan. I always love reports. Polly's watching from Mansfield. Welcome on to the stream again here for the day today. Let me pop up the radar while I'm getting my graphics back in control so you can look at what's going on currently, and then I'll get the forecast for you in store coming up. Again, I'm a one-man band back here, so I got to maneuver all around with my graphics here on the side while this is all going on. All right. So just so you know, for those of you popping onto our stream here, let's take a look at our John Harvey Toyota Skycam and let you see what's actually out in the skies out right now. This is a live look in Bossier City where we have cloudy conditions. We start out with actually a little bit of sunshine and blue skies right at sunrise time, but that's quickly faded away. We had some storms kind of breeze by the northern edge of the Shreveport-Bossier area a little while ago. For now, on our Doppler radar, which, again, we're going to look at a lot more exclusively in depth in just a little bit, things are looking a little better, at least in Shreveport-Bossier for the meantime, for the time being, essentially. Texarkana camera, window world sky cam. Again, as I mentioned, there's a lot of showers kind of huddled right around Texarkana. You can look at one of those off to the north side currently with the big shades of gray there, indicating a good amount of rain just on the northern end of Texarkana. So lots of cloud cover starting to gather all around the Arklatex. Got temperatures starting to warm up in the 70s here for the day today. And the more the temperatures warm up here for the day today, the worse it's going to get, because Natchitoches is almost nearing around 80 degrees already in for this afternoon. Bienville's already at 80. And just so you know, most of our projected highs today were in the upper 70s. But there were other tracks to the temperature aspect here for the day today that showed our temperatures maybe increasing even more so than that. As you see, our projected highs for today are pretty much right around the current temperatures, actually, which indicates lots of cloud cover hanging around, lots of storms hanging around for the rest of today, which, I mean, that is a given. But I will say again, if it warms up more than what it is warming up at now, that's just fuel for the fire, essentially. We're expecting temperatures to warm up and help amplify our storms, especially here for the afternoon hours. I'll tell you what I'm looking at here in the future track coming up. But now that we're actually into the stream, everybody's settled on in, maybe grab their popcorn. Anyways, point is, we're looking at the storms here for the day today. We got mostly storms in the northern half of the Arklatex, trying to find a little settled point here for you. Looks like we got a little stray shower right by Hall Summit and Ringgold, maybe a little drizzle over by Mansfield. Those storms are continuing to move up north and east. Got one of those tiny cells near Arcadia right now. But I tried to already pinpoint towards the northern half of the Arklatex because that's where most of our action here is for the time being. Texarkana getting mostly light rain. If I zoom into that area, yeah, most of that's getting just light rain, but we have some good cells bringing some moderate to heavy rainfall in areas like Hope, a good portion of southwestern Arkansas, over towards Nashville, Ashdown, rain starting to build in towards Louisville. Magnolia definitely getting rain in the next couple of minutes as well. Meanwhile, we got a good cell headed out towards New Boston, and we're expected to build rain into areas of Red River County and McCurtain counties here in the next couple of minutes. Looks like we got another cell about to target Mount Pleasant soon as well. So lots of rain on the way. Let's you back up and show you the full regional picture here. I'm going to take off the local radar here for just a moment and pop up the national outlook, because this is just showing what's on the way. Look at Dallas-Fort Worth, and we got lots of rain extended almost all the way out towards, I believe that's Abilene. Yes, it is. Almost out towards Abilene. The point is, we have a whole trail of rain that is expected to roll straight into the Arklatex. Not only that, we're expected to form our own storms here locally and almost put a entire blanket of rain here for the course of the afternoon and evening. So a lot of storms to get through. It's only 10:30. We still got the rest of the day today to get through the storm. So let's look at the all-important future track. All right, so today, right now it's 10:30. Storms are expected to build up into this afternoon, and most of where our future tracks are pointing for formation is forming storms more towards around Natchitoches and Hemphill in the next few hours. By 2 p.m., it looks like we could have widespread storms, mainly in areas of northwest Louisiana. It looks like almost outside of the Shreveport-Bossier area. While we continue to see lines of light to moderate rainfall in areas around Mount Pleasant, Texarkana, and the Queen, kind of a hole right in the middle. that starts to collapse on itself, it looks like into the afternoon, so that while you get into like 4 or 5 p.m., that's where we're expecting the bulk of our severe storms to really pack a punch on through with some strong winds. I'll give you a hint, that's the worst thing that we're watching out here for the day today. So around 5 p.m., 6 p.m. is pretty much where the rain's going to be at its worst. Headed home from work and from school, especially for anybody along that I-20 corridor. It is looking gross with flash flooding possible, especially extended in a period of time. I will say, once we get into the nighttime hours, especially around 7, 8 o'clock, that's when things start. Really want to use the word start carefully. Start drying up here for the nighttime hours. Natchitoches is still dealing with a little bit of light rain as late as maybe 10 o'clock, but I'm thinking by the time we reach the late night hours, I think we should be fine. Again, the worst worry for me, again, according to this future track, and from what I've been seeing on most of the future tracks, is most of the severe weather potential, severe thunderstorms, the strong outlook we have for today is going to be mainly pinpointed on the afternoon hours, the evening commute home, somewhere around there. So that's what we're watching for mostly here for the day today. And guess what? Your reward for that is enjoying the rest of the future track. Not only do we have no rain for Saturday and Sunday, we barely have any cloud cover around for Saturday and Sunday. Plentiful blue skies on both days. So yesterday, as I was kind of mentioning this at the very beginning of the stream, for those of you kind of just appearing on, this map for the severe weather outlook for today. So essentially, if you time travel back to yesterday, this map for the severe weather outlook for Friday's storms, which are now today, the severe weather outlook was just marginal yesterday. And within 24 hours, it's now increased to enhanced risk, mainly because, again, the short-term models have really ramped up severe weather threats with these storms moving on through. And this is prevalent mostly across those south of I-30. Now, keep in mind, those still along Mount Pleasant, Texarkana, are still under the slight risk here for the day today. Marginal risk is only for those in the northern edge of the Arklatex. Meanwhile, we have an enhanced risk from Shreveport all the way down to Alexandria, pretty much. That does include Natchitoches, the entirety of northwest Louisiana, most of our East Texas counties, especially either at or below I-20, even a little corner of southwestern Arkansas, is included in that enhanced risk here for the day today. Now, the best news of all with these storms is that we haven't talked too much about threats, and now I'm about to talk and dive into that right now. The tornado risk. The probably best news with the storms today is that the tornado risk is low. It is low. It is not medium. I wouldn't even say it's high. This is not looking like a tornado outbreak kind of a day. It is certainly not zero, though. I will say that as well. Overall, anybody in the green has a chance for tornadic activity today. It looks like that does not include Texarkana, but essentially areas below I-30, which, again, do have the tiniest chance of a tornado forming today, but it is not likely at all, which is at least good news. You don't have to say keep your alerts on about that. But regardless, it is going to be windy. That is the worst worry with the storms. Anyone in the red, which is essentially everybody in that enhanced risk, has a strong chance of getting strong winds. So what that means is essentially a moderate risk of winds up to 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It is going to be rapid here for this afternoon. So not only expecting heavy rains, as we all saw in that future track for the afternoon, but it's going to be strong winds with that. So that's almost blowing rain in your face. It's going to be gross, yucky, and hard to see with the visibility out at times out the door. Now, with our ground soaked as it is, and as it has been over the past 2 days, one of the other worries I have is flash flooding. I definitely worry a little more about the winds today and the flash flooding. But essentially, the combination between watching out for our soaked environment, our soaked soil already on the ground from the past 2 days, and our strong winds, that is a terrible recipe for down trees and down power lines, which unfortunately leads to power outages. So yes, the tornadic threat is low here for the day today, but it's not looking good for the outlook of our power poles and our trees, because our trees are already weak right now with the soil being so wet. The ground's not as firm, especially holding on firm to the tree in and of itself, and with that strong wind gust, it could just easily blow over that tree. and the power pole anywhere. So that's what we're watching out here for the day today. Now let's get into the specifics with some of the winds here for today. We're already seeing slightly breezy conditions out currently right now. And once we get into this afternoon, it's especially going to amplify right around, looks like, the afternoon and evening commute when some of these wind gusts could be as super high, especially in localized areas. But regardless, looks like widespread double-digit winds for everybody, especially here for this afternoon. So that's worry number one again. Worry number two is loading right now. There it is. Your rainfall potential. Now, this is from today alone. Next 2 days over the weekend, as we just said, are beautiful. So I know it says next 3 days, but this is pretty much the rainfall potential from today alone, which looks to focus more rain totals, especially where we start to grow those stronger thunderstorms in the afternoon. And most of those are going to be present along and south of I-20. So most of those areas are picking up an inch to an inch and a half of rain from today alone. Thankfully, it's looking not as bad. The flash flooding potential in of itself for tonight isn't looking as bad as, say, Wednesday when we got 4 inches of rain in Shreveport. Yeah, 4 inches of rain in Shreveport happened on Wednesday, but still a lot of rain regardless, especially for such a short amount of time because, again, most of this is going to come through in the afternoon and evening commute hours. So keep in mind, that's for today alone. I do want to give a hint to the rain next week because there's still a lot of it coming. That is an immense amount of rainfall in a 7-day period. And keep in mind, again, we've already had flash flooding potential, and we have river flood warnings galore around here. So this is going to make it so much more easier to provide flash flooding potential across the region, with especially those along and south of I-20 getting at least, it looks like, almost 5 inches of rain within the next 7 days on top of what we've already gotten. So problematic. And that's what we're watching out for. Definitely watching out for. So the weekend at least gives us a little bit of a break. In fact, we do have sunshine even carrying us into Monday as well, but the weekend, most importantly, Saturday and Sunday, rain-free, cloud-free. Not only that, another underlying thing I do want to mention about the weekend, it's going to be much more comfortable last weekend. You remember last weekend, our highs were around 90 degrees. Highs are only around 80 for both Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be a great time to be out this weekend. So I know you're dreary. You're sick of me probably talking about the rain constantly being in the Arklatex, but hey, at least I'm clearing things up for your weekend. That is, after you get through the day today, there's a look at your 7-day forecast. This is the last graphic we'll go over before taking a commercial break and then taking a look at all of your comments and questions on Facebook and our YouTube streams. Again, that's coming up. I'll go over that in just a second, but let's go over our 7-day forecast again. Lots of rain today, 3 days, nice and dry, nice and sunny as well, Saturday through Monday, and then plenty more rain showers hitting us next week, some of which could give us, yes, more chances of severe weather. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's almost like an extended period of rain here for the middle of next week that we're watching out for. We'll have more details about that, obviously, coming up the start of next week, especially in the start of the first Weather Breakdown, which the next episode after this will air on Monday at 10:30. But obviously, all eyes, especially for you, probably are on today and just looking forward to and hopefully just getting to that weekend, most importantly. All right. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to take a drink of water. After all that talking, cover my voice just a little bit, and I'll be back in 2 minutes to answer all your questions on Facebook and YouTube. I promise I'll be back in just a moment. Sit tight. Welcome on back to the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Again, thanks for watching the full forecast. I know some people are headed out, but hey, if you do have questions, stick around, or if you just want to hear other people's questions, hang tight, and I will always get to those. I've got about 10-15 minutes to answer your questions. Stick around. While I do, I will let you also look at the current radar in the background. In fact, I might actually zoom this out a little bit more because I forgot my face was going to be on it. Because I do want you to still look at me and talk to me. Where are my graphics? There we go. So let's zoom this out a little bit more so you can see the full picture of things. Again, we got widespread storms right around Texarkana, the I-30 corridor at this point. A stray few showers starting to pop up around Louisiana as well. And I think that's going to continue to be the trend here heading until around lunchtime, as we just went over with that future track again. A stray few showers kind of starting to pop up in areas of northwest Louisiana. And they're looking to pop up, honestly, in areas outside of Shreveport. I expect Natchitoches to start seeing maybe a pop-up shower or two in the next little bit as well. But most of the rain coverage is right on top of, again, Texarkana. That whole line that's along I-30 is going to slowly meander southward, and especially with daytime heating. Daytime heating, again, is going to be fueling those storms here for the afternoon. That's when we're watching out for the strong wind gusts coming on through. So the later into the afternoon it gets, the worse it's going to be. The worst it's going to be, especially for those of you getting these storms in and around that time. So if you haven't seen much, like Shreveport and Bossier has not seen much yet, just wait. Just wait and see later on today. All right, let's get to questions. Let's start taking things in the back from those who have waited the longest to have their questions answered. Chelsea asks, what is the tornado risk for Halton today and tonight? Tornado risk is low. It is low not just for Halton, it is low all around the Arklatex, which is great news. It is not zero. Can't rule it out, but this does not look like one of those days where we're watching out for tornadoes per se, which is good news. Which is good news, at least for that. That's probably the best news of the storms here today. We're just watching out for, again, the other threats, which include strong winds, strong streamline winds. It might be howling against your house, wherever you are. And we're watching out for flash flooding, which means it could be lots of puddles on the roadways. All right, Julius, watching for Texarkana. Hello. Nikki, what's going on in Shreveport? Sydney is also watching from Shreveport as well. Shreveport, again, nothing much. We did have some storms about, I believe it was 2 hours ago, breeze by kind of the northern edge of Shreveport and Bossier by Blanchard. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and, where is my graphics again? There we go. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on Shreveport and let you see that there is really nothing too much on the horizon. And again, most of the storms I'm expecting to form are down here, and you can kind of already see in the last little tail end of that loop that some storms are starting to, little tiny cell popping up east of center, another little cell maybe forming around Mansfield. That's where we're expecting to form storms as of right now. Shreveport's going to get in on all their storms again later this afternoon, so you still should be fine for the next few hours, in my opinion, for Shreveport and Bossier. Next few hours meaning at least through lunchtime. All right, back to questions. Carlo's watching from Ruston. Hello. Frida, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is watching from Hope. Thanks for watching. Hunter, Shreveport hasn't seen anything yet. Yep, they have not seen anything yet. Texarkana. Kim asks about Texarkana. Obviously, let's zoom into Texarkana, shall we? That is the wrong thing. I clicked on the wrong thing there. Hold up. Texarkana, obviously, got some rain around the vicinity. Looks like you've cleared things out briefly there at the tail end of, let's go ahead and stop the loop there. Looks like you've cleared things out briefly, but you got more rain on the way. It's raining in Hope. And again, across most of southwestern Arkansas, got some storms even moving into Magnolia, too, in Columbia County. Texarkana, again, staying dry here for the moment, but still plenty of storms on the way from the west. Sulphur Springs, Mount Pleasant, all those are going to be taking the ride up I-30 and moving back into Texarkana. So Texarkana is still far from done with the storms here for the day today. But as we looked on the, I'll go ahead and bring this back up, just to bring back up the other points. As we kind of mentioned already from the severe weather outlook, the Texarkana area is kind of on the less side of getting severe storms here for the day today. That's because, again, most of our storm activity for the afternoon is going to be in that brown shade, in that enhanced risk here for this afternoon, which is where the timing of things is for the afternoon is really going to heat up the storms and make them probably the most severe of the day, so to speak. All right, Shirley asks about Atlanta. Atlanta, you're kind of on the verge of being on that enhanced risk. Let's get back to the radar here for you guys. I have to go between my chat and the graphics. That's why it's taking me a little bit of some time to kind of circulate and get my thoughts down together for that. All right, so back in around Atlanta, which is right around here. There we go. There's Atlanta, just to the northeast of Linden. Again, dry for the moment, but if you're seeing storms off to your north, you're not done. That is the case in point here for the day today. Again, that whole line of storms that's continuing to move up north and east. Again, we have plenty of that line of storms well off to our west. Again, as we just mentioned, there's storms all the way as far west as Abilene. This whole line of storms is slowly moving southward, but the storm cells themselves are moving up north and east. I hope that makes sense. So essentially what I mean by that is, let me try to do this here. These storms themselves, the cells themselves, are again moving up north and east. But the collective line of storms as a whole is continuing to move up north and east as the line is going southward. And that's what's going to run into Shreveport eventually, and in the case of Atlanta, same thing there. So that's what we're watching out here for later today. So again, best rule of thumb, if you see storms off to your north, you're not done. You are not done, and you still have plenty more stormy activity here for later on today. All right. Ronnie's watching from Dallas. It's going around us. Good to see. Leela, thank you for the update. I hope I pronounced that right. Oh, man, I might have butchered that. Sorry. Not good with names. April, last comment, last question, I believe. I got nothing on YouTube. Can you show us the future track for this afternoon? You betcha I sure can. Let's go back to that future track, shall we? Go over this one more time, and then I might even end the stream unless we got any more questions. All right, so here's what that future track's looking like. Again, storm slowly but surely developing. In the next 2-3 hours, I'm expecting storms to develop around Natchitoches and Hemp Hill and Nacogdoches, that kind of area, in the next 2 to 3 hours. Honestly, I think Shreveport could be dry through this time, honestly. Still could be all the way rocking in just fine through the early afternoon hours and definitely past lunchtime, while we continue to see storms from the main line up near Mount Pleasant in Texarkana. I know this model doesn't make it look like it's that impressive of rain near Mount Pleasant and Texarkana, if that's what's happening. Essentially, the storms are eventually going to fire up around Shreveport in the I-20 corridor, and most of that's looking to happen right around the commute home from school and from work. That is my worst worry, because obviously that's where the most traffic is, and that could cause the most accidents later on today. Overall, I try to avoid travel if you can, period, during the afternoon hours. I know it's going to be difficult because obviously you're coming home from work, from school. It's hard to kind of delay it, especially when some of these storms could continue through 6, 7 p.m. before finally starting to lighten up tonight. So again, to back up in that future track one more time, looks like we're getting around like 3 o'clock. Things start to get bad and then especially become worse right through the late afternoon and early evening hours. That's where I'm watching out for most of the storms here for today. April says thanks. You are absolutely welcome. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you for watching First Alert Weather Breakdown. Obviously, today's First Alert Weather Day. Once you stay weather aware, we have our weather app whenever we're not on air. But guess what? We have our next weather update with severe weather coming from meteorologist Austin Evans. He will have your next update all coming up at noon in just an hour. He'll get the latest details and show you the latest radar. Then, thanks for watching. Obviously, the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Our next episode will be on Monday at 10:30, but obviously stay weather aware throughout the rest of today. We'll have plenty more updates coming from Austin Evans. Chief Meteorologist Matt Jones will be in just a little while as well later on this afternoon to break down probably the most severe storms, again, which are happening on later today. Thanks for watching. I always appreciate you guys, very much so. And yeah, we'll get through one more day of rain before getting to a sunny weekend. Much needed. Much needed. All right, peace out. Have a great rest of your Friday. And yeah, stay weather aware. I will see you on Monday, 10:30. Peace out.